mean, as parents, I think we can all agree that, two 18-year-olds getting married is a huge mistake.
Not as big a mistake as me trying parkour, but a mistake nonetheless.
We think it's great these kids got hitched.
Thank you. It means a lot that someone believes in us.
Well, who are we to say what makes a family? I mean, people told us we would never work, but they were wrong.
So wrong. Just because we're brother and sister doesn't mean that we can't raise a family together.
You're,
I know what you're thinking. We don't look anything alike.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
Well, when Clementine's dad left me, Spencer vowed to help me raise the kids, and he's been there for us ever since.
That's what family does. When your sister needs you, you step up and fill the hole.
Oh, and he felt it, and then some.
I love you, Uncle Dad.
Oh, it's so sweet. But they're just kids, so there's no reason for them to be married.
There is a big reason.
And it's getting bigger every day.
Oh, my God.
We're in love.
Oh.
Why would you phrase it like that? I am in no way ready to be a grandmother.
Oh, I say bring it on. I am ready for babies, and more babies.
Me too. I would love a little grandniece daughter.
Oh, look at her
little
there with her little
sweet something
freckles.
looking up at you with little
freckles.
feetsies.
Look at her.
None of this is going to happen, okay? Because I made an appointment for you tomorrow so that you can get your marriage annulled.
You can't tell us what to do anymore, Mom. We're adults. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have to go meet our friends at the food court. Thanks for your support. Thanks for nothing.
Nothing.
so how does this work? Separate bedrooms, or?
Same bedroom, twin beds. Yeah.
Just like when we were kids.
Let me tell you my favorite moment from season 1 of Life in Pieces.
When
James Brolin
why do I just laugh when you just say James Brolin?
and Diane Wiest, who play your parents, sneak candy to your kids when they feed them all the junk food that you don't allow, because I watched it and I was like, oh my God, my parents do the exact same thing. And then they'll call me and they'll be like, your son refused to eat lunch. And I was just like, well, maybe it was the 8 popsicles he ate for breakfast. Do you think perhaps that
and
would...
an entire bag of mini Twix bars. Maybe that did it. That's one of my favorite things about the show is that it's not off the wall. I mean, we have those moments too, but it's, for me as a woman, as a human, as a mom, that's the kind of thing I relate to because that's what happens in my life. My mom always has a ton of cookies in her house, and that's all my kids want. And she will have coffee cake that is really just cake. It's like cake for breakfast, and they think that's awesome. And so why? But that's cool. Why wouldn't they want to go to grandma's? I'm down.
No, and then of course your mom is like, they won't eat avocado and kale,
Yeah,
and
your
you're like,
kids are
really?
bad eaters.
Yeah.
All they want is coffee cake that I push to them like crack on a corner.
That I shove into a pipe. Yeah. What happens this season?
And
by the way, congratulations on getting renewed. I think you're one of a handful of single camera shows.
Oh, I can't even think about that.
That's a whole technical aspect. But seriously, like
think
you
about
guys
it.
are
I'm
a very
just
big
happy.
standout show.
Yeah, I'm just happy we got a second season. If I think about like, okay, how many spots do they have in the mini? I just wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And then I also think I remember during Breaking Bad, Dean would look at our ratings. And I was like, what are you going to do? You going to act harder? Are you, like, it's not going to change. Like, I'm going to do the best job I can do. So, like, that's just, I'm not.
Either people like it or they don't.
Yeah.
And they seem to like it.
Yeah, or like someone at the network wants to pick it up or they don't. Wait, I forgot your question and it was good.
Season 2.
Season 2, yeah.
What happens?
Season 2. Well, we have Megan Mullally and Nick Offerman, they are incredibly funny and funny together. It's a lot of good family stuff. And I'm really incredibly proud of, especially the first episode. I feel like it makes us a little bit different than a lot of other comedies that we're seeing right now. There's a lot of heart in it, but at the same time, it's very, very funny. And I think it's just one of those episodes where you see it's everybody individually is great, but you see how this group together works so well. And I feel like I didn't get that. Like Breaking Bad was basically my first big show. I'd recurred on other things, but That was my first series regular, and I was like, oh, so this is just what it's like to be a regular on something. But it really has to be that lightning in a bottle, where everything, you have to have a good script and great actors, and that's still not enough. Like, all those actors have to just have this chemistry, and I don't even know how you cast that. I don't know how you do it, but when you find it, it feels pretty good, and it just works.
Did you guys know right away that you had it?
You know, well, we hadn't met. Like, I had met Dan because he came in chemistry read with me, and they were looking at and strongly considering another actor, and I feel like he came in and really stole that role, and we just hit it off right away too. And I love our relationship on the show. I mean, I love our relationship outside of the show too. But I love working with him, and I love Tim and Heather. And then I was so excited to meet Diane Wiest.
I mean,
Oh my God. And she really is like, is amazing or more than you would think she would be. I feel like she would come in and just even when you first meet her, she'd be like, oh, hi. Yeah. And
she brings her parakeets to set, right?
my kids have bird sat her birds when she was away on hiatus. And my kids just love her. My son's kind of obsessed with her. My son is almost 8, and he will run lines with me. And last season, Diane had this line. He was running a scene with Diane and I, and he goes, "I'm a grown-ass woman." And I told Diane in makeup, I go, "Just so you know, Freddie was saying your line, so I hope you can meet me up there, because the bar is high. I'm used to my 7-year-old's interpretation of your role."
So you guys vibed.
Yeah.
What was the first table read like with the whole cast?
It was great. And Jason Weiner, I was like, oh, that's what I haven't done that much comedy. So I was like, oh, that's what it's like when it really just sings, you know? The pilot episode, I thought was so great, especially for pilots. Pilots can be, especially for a pilot, pilots can be weird. And this one wasn't. It felt like you kind of already knew this family. It didn't try and catch you up on everything that's happened in the 20 years before we meet them. And I thought it was so well written, and I loved Justin Adler immediately, the creator of the show, and I thought, I want to tell your stories. The stories you like, I want to tell those stories too. And the only other time I'd kind of had that reaction was when I met Vince Gilligan, and I felt like that was a good gut call. So I think this one is.
You think being on Breaking Bad was a good?
That worked out.
I don't know. I'd have to
We didn't know
question
if
that.
anybody was going to watch it. People were like, what? AMC has TV shows? But it turned out quite well.
And it's really nice to see you being funny because, dear God, your Breaking Bad character was, what's the word for her? Judgmental. Let's go with that.
I miss her. I do.
Oh, God.
I miss her.
She is like that person where you're like, do I look fat in this outfit? And get ready for the response.
Oh, my God. I so wanted. Well, I can't say this. This will be.
Yes, you can.
She's not. I know someone a lot like her. I feel she's a combination of a couple people. They would never notice because, like, you just don't see yourself if you're like that. If you asked Marie if she were judgmental, she'd be like, no, but you're always a jerk. You know, it would be.
I'm just
she
being
would never
honest.
see it. She would not, right, no, but you're always, you know, and she would judge you saying, like, people like that just never see it. I'm like, show me a family where you don't have at least one of those. And I have to say, it was really fun to play. And it allowed me to bring a little levity to a show that had some dark days.
I mean,
and then here's Marie in all purple just being weird. Like, it was a blast.
And you're
I'm not
totally
gonna lie.
right. Like, I have a relative who, before I met my husband at one family dinner, was like, you know what? At least you have your career. Like, apropos of nothing. And I was like, oh, that's so Marie of you.
Yeah. Like Vince said to me, before I got the job, when I first went in and met with him and read for him, and he kept using the word needle, which I think is so appropriate for Marie. She needles them. So I love that Heather is not that person. I mean, she's not, I don't want to play a perfect character. She's not perfect. And I don't need my character to like always do the right thing and be super likable. But I love that she's happy. Like Heather's really happy. And one of the few things that I really, put my foot down about from the beginning was like, I don't want to fall into that sitcom trap of being the eye-rolling wife to the goofy dad.
The shrew, yeah.
Yeah, like she's a little goofy too, not nearly as goofy as Tim, because they would probably have their children taken away from them. But I didn't want to do that. And I know it can be really funny and it works, and that's why we do it again and again. But I also just felt like, I feel like it's a new time, and it doesn't need to always be that anymore.
And another thing I love about the show is that the women have careers and they're unapologetic about them.
I don't, but
You have 3 kids.
I have 3 kids, which is, as you know, a career. But that's something Heather goes through this season.
Zoe Lister-Jones is the breadwinner.
Yeah. So it's I like and Joan, even though she always had a thriving therapy practice, and so I love that they do that. Yeah.
So what happens to Heather this season that you can say?
It's she kind of goes through a little identity crisis, which I think is very relatable. Whether you're a mom and you've taken time off and you're going back to work, whether you've been working the entire time and you're a mom, whether you're out of college and you're like, I don't know what I want to do. But I feel like I need to do something, and I feel like I should do something, and I don't know what that is. And so for me, it was kind of, even this season, I'm like, I don't know where she is. Because that's where she was. But it felt right to feel that while we were shooting at. And I just think, we're just learning more about the family, which I love. I mean, I love everybody's characters. Those big scenes when we all sit around a table, I have to say, feel pretty good. It's a lot of fun.
What was it like for you going from the intensity and darkness of Breaking Bad to something like this and actually being allowed to be funny and light?
I was shooting the awkward guacamole scene, and that was a long fucking day. And it was great, and I'm so proud of it. But that was a long day. I was having chest pains at the end of the day, and I've just felt so exhausted because I kept looking at Bryan Cranston, whom I love, and saying, why don't you just go and kill yourself? Well, we did it again and again and again and again and again. And then I said, did we get it? And the director was our DP who would direct, very close friend of all of ours. And he said, we got it. And I just started crying, which I would do a lot on Breaking Bad because Marie never let go. And so I just was like, oh, let it go. And then you go home because you don't want to take Marie home with you.
I think your kids would move out even at age 7.
Or they might really get her. You don't know. You never know with kids. And then we were shooting at a restaurant in Albuquerque. We all had margaritas together. And because it was just a shitty work environment. No, it was great. I could hang out with these people all day. And we all had margaritas together. And then I hugged Bryan and said, it's so hard to say that to you over and over again and mean it every single time that I say it, which I did. I meant it every take we got. And then I turned around and said to the cast that I was sitting with, I said, I'm ready to do a comedy. And the next morning I got on a flight and flew here, went right straight out to Silver Cup and started working on the Michael J. Fox show. And for me, that was a no-brainer. I think if Michael J. Fox wants you to play your wife, you say, what time do you want me to be there? He's a genius and amazing man and so incredibly talented. I don't know how you get all that talent in like whatever 5 foot, however tall he is. That is a lot of talent, and he's a huge presence.
And nicest person ever, I might add.
Like I worked with so many amazing people, but he is such a combination of so confident and so kind that I feel like you hardly ever see. And then we did a season. It did not get picked up for a second season. I was like, who cancels Michael J. Fox? NBC does. And they had to do what they had to do. They were with us till the bitter end. I don't fault them. But, and then after I did a comedy, I was like, okay, I want to mix it up again. And I went on to Masters of Sex. I signed on to do a show that David O. Russell was doing for ABC. And that ended up not going. So, but it allowed me to guest star in 2 shows I was a huge fan of, Parenthood and Masters of Sex. And Masters of Sex was a huge deal for me because I in my mind, and I'm very positive, I'm a very positive person, but I just thought, okay, you know, I had this opportunity and to experience this amazing drama, and I will probably never experience anything like that in drama. It will never be that good. And Masters of Sex was phenomenal. Like the material they wrote for me, which is such an honor because their writers are phenomenal. And that was when they gave me, you obviously have a chair with your name on it on the set. And when they gave me my chair, I started crying. And one of the guys on the crew said, "Has she not had a chair before?" I said, no, I have. It's just that I came here as a guest and you made me part of your family. And I never thought I'd be that fulfilled and challenged again in a drama. And then after, on Masters of Sex, my character, talks about how she was molested. And so I felt like after that I was ready to go back to comedy again. That's, not super funny. So I thought, let's do something funny. And now I'm on Life in Pieces, but I still mix it up in my hiatus. I did a movie that's coming out in January, which has funny moments, but is a drama that I am wildly proud of, called Claire in Motion, and I can't wait for you guys to see it.
And before we go to the audience Q&A, you guys are aware that there's an election taking place in 2 weeks. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. There's an election, presidential election. And Betsy here did a Funny or Die video. I want you to tell me how that came about.
You guys.
For you people. Like the people who don't vote out of, or who do the protest vote.
Or don't vote.
Because to make a statement.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I really thought this, not that I'm not a politician, clearly, but I thought this Trump thing wasn't going to happen.
I think
I was like, oh, this will be a month of funny, and here we are now. And so a friend of mine, a really talented writer, I knew he had a connection to someone in Hillary's campaign, and I basically just harassed him, and I said, we're going to do a fundraiser at your house because your yard is bigger than mine. And we're going to do a fundraiser because we have really great kids, and our kids deserve better than that guy, and we deserve better than that guy. And also, we want to get her elected for the people that really need her and don't even know yet that they need her, and for everybody. So we did a fundraiser. We raised a really nice amount of cash, and then he said, I want you to do me a favor, and we'll do this this video. And it's just about, this is not the election. This is not the year to sit out. It's not the year to sit out. I say when there's a monster at the door, you go to the ballot box.
No, and it's very funny and very on point.
Oh,
So I
thank you.
wanted to
We
bring
had a
that
great
up.
time shooting it. Like, I can't deny that. We had a great time. It was fun.
And now to our audience, please.
Hey, good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
with you, down with the monsters, totally.
Yeah,
So I want
not
to
a
talk.
fan.
Yeah, it's so true. I want to talk about early on in your career. I know that life as an actor is very difficult for most people breaking into the business. How were you able to navigate your career with the no's that came along the way in order to get that yes and keep focused to have the success that you're experiencing now?
That's a great question. I have some good news and I have some bad news. The bad news is, like, no matter where you get in your career, there's still always going to be a lot of no's. So the good news is, after a while, you're like, no, yeah, okay. Sometimes I'm like, come on, what can you say to me or about me that I haven't heard at this point? Whatever. You can say I'm not pretty enough, I'm too tall, or whatever. I think ultimately we know it's not an easy business before you get into it. So I feel like you've already signed that contract. This is so difficult, but you're going to try and do it anyway because it's that important to you. And ultimately, I think you probably have just a need that you have to do it. And there are worse needs. So that's good that it's not, and tomorrow's another day. There are days that just suck. I still have them. And there are days where I'm like, oh my God, I am the luckiest person in the world. And it can be such a small thing that makes that day, sing or sink. I feel like it's also how you look at it, and I have always constantly tried to be grateful for what I've had. Don't compare yourself to other people. Because a lot of people do that, and there's enough good out there for everybody. It's not like, oh, it's me or it's you. I've been at an audition where I'm like, I want this job, but if I don't get it, I hope you do, because I think you'd be great and you're lovely, and And then when I get it, I feel a little bit bad, but I'm really happy to have the job. And I meant it. I meant if I don't get it, you. And that's always consolation to me. If there's something I don't get, but it's someone I know, especially if they're a nice person, I'm like, we're good. I'm good with the universe.
That's a great answer. I think that applies to probably every career.
I think everything. Yeah.
Next question, please.
Hello.
Hi.
I think my question's a little aligned with the first. I wanted to know if there was a moment in your career in the beginning, well, how would you redo it?
Oh. I don't have many regrets. Sometimes I wonder, I got into NYU for college. Thank you. I didn't go because it was too expensive. And I was like, I want to do plays and I'll probably make $500 a week, so fuck that shit. I was like, I don't want to come out of school with this debt over my head. And I went to University of Illinois because I thought it was a good program and the price was definitely right. And I got a great education there. Then after that, after I graduated, I did another thing that most people do. I moved to Seattle because if you want to be famous, that's pretty much where you go.
Seattle has a huge theater scene.
It does, and I feel
Broadway.
I feel like I really got my chops there, though. It does have a big theater scene.
I know it does. Yeah.
Bigger than a lot of. I feel like it rivals Chicago, and I got out of college and I felt like my entire class was moving to Chicago, and I loved college. I had a blast in college, but I was like, I'm done with that. Now I wanted to do something else. And I said, I'm never going to live in LA. Why? Those soulless people. Now I'm just one of them. And I just didn't see me in New York yet. Sometimes I wonder if it would have been different if I would have come out here sooner, but I know this is very West Coast hippie, but I feel like that happened, I made that choice for a reason and it worked out. I think bigger than, you got to keep your eye on the prize. So I think even bigger than the career choices, and I'm not saying they're not important because they are, but bigger than that is the choice that's going to build you as an artist, as an actor, because the better you are at that, the better the career stuff's going to go and the more opportunities you'll have. For me, I like to do comedy and drama. And if you want to focus on one or the other, which most people do, that's not bad either. But for me, I feel like it makes, I look at my comedy, a lot of the work I've done in drama influences that and how I build my character, and I can be very specific about it. And that works for me. So I like to do both, and I make sure I'm using those muscles in both of those things. If I do drama, I'll go back to comedy, and and vice versa, and that works for me. So whatever it is, you have to figure out whatever it is that you need. Like I know for me, when I do a play, I come out of that a better actor, hands down. After doing a run, and I'm also aware that now that I've gone back to theater after doing TV, makes me more honest on stage, because you cannot lie to the camera. You can't. If you're not meaning what you say, everybody's going to know. And that's one of the thrilling things. There's nowhere to hide, So I feel like if you can get there and really, then that's the most important thing.
And we have time for one more question, please.
Oh my gosh, just so you know, I could talk to you guys all day, and these are such good questions.
Hi, I'm Tristan.
Hi.
I go to NYU. It is expensive as shit.
Hi, Moneybags.
Yeah.
I was about to say, spoiler alert, it hasn't gotten cheaper.
It has not. But huge fan, obviously. My favorite shirt. I've watched the show I watched Breaking Bad about 9 times. Two short questions. What did you envision for Marie at the end of the show, and what happens after? And did Marie intentionally not call them minerals?
Not what?
Intentionally call Hank's rocks minerals.
Oh, that's funny. I think she just didn't give a shit. I don't think she's malicious. I think she's like, oh, you and your fucking rocks. I think and she had bigger fish to fry. Those seasons. I was so proud of her when he was just not being very nice. But she just, she would never leave that guy. I still haven't seen the episode where Hank gets shot. Either one. Spoiler alert. In the mall parking lot, we had such a hard time finding a store to let us shoot in the parking lot. They're like, oh, that crystal meth show? Yeah, I know we said yes, but we're saying no now. And my blood pressure goes up. I just get even though I know he's okay, I've had scenes with him after. I just can't. And I haven't seen the one where he dies at the end. And the fact that that's so hard for me to watch, I think says a lot about the role I got to play as Marie. That this show is so dark, but I think their relationship is one of the most beautiful things on the show. And, I've been married for many years, and that shit is not easy. And it's a lot of work, and you have, there are days where you're like, what did I do? And then days where you're like, I cannot imagine my life with anyone other than you. And I loved that we got to see that. It wasn't just all happy between the two of them, but there was just so much love between the both of them, and I was so honored to be a part of that. And I love where they took Marie. When you sign on to do a TV show, if you're lucky enough to get on a show that goes the distance, and that was the first time I had played a character that long, which is such a privilege as an actor. And to work with the writers that we had was, also just like an embarrassment of riches. But you don't know what you're going to get. Your character may die season 4, or your role may get smaller, your role may get bigger. And I felt like they really did good by me. And I love what they did with her and who we saw her being at the end of the show. I mean, I'm extremely proud of her and her journey. I think about her. Someone asked me last night, and I was like, I'm going to cry. I think about her still because I know it would be, I'm so sorry. Someone asked me once, they're like, do you think she killed herself? And I said, no way. Because she knows he would never want her to do that. And I think about her and how hard it must be for her to go on. But I think we also saw this strength in this character. And I'm still so proud of her for that she would. And I think in my mind that she and Skylar, I think they probably came back together just for nothing else, to be there with each other. And Anna and I would talk about how they had this kind of war buddy relationship. And we were like, what the fuck were their parents like? These two. And we always were like, can we meet him? Can we get Chris Christopherson to play the dad? Who can we get? I'm like, what about Peter Fonda? I know Peter. Can we get, like, who can we get? He can come in on his motorcycle across the desert. I had plenty of good ideas. It's amazing I'm not a writer. Now I'm just trying to get Life in Pieces to Hawaii. I'm like, how about anything I can get a trip out of?
Paris.
Paris.
I think you guys need a family vacation in Paris.
Yes, absolutely, to celebrate someone's anniversary. We always felt like they were war buddies, and so I feel like they would be there for each other because they've both been through so much. And so I don't know if Marie lives on for other people, but she does for me, you know, and it was just such a privilege to build a character like that and then share her with so many people who loved the show the way that I did. You know, like it really was just an amazing experience.
And now you get to do it again.
And now I get to do it again. I know, oh my God, I spent so much time talking about Breaking Bad. Please watch my new show on Thursday. Please watch it.
And when does season 2 premiere?
Thursday night, that's tomorrow at 9:30. And it's such a fabulous episode. Doing Parenthood, a show I was a huge fan of, and I know CBS won't like that I'm saying this because it's a different network. I feel like our show is like the funny version of Parenthood, and that's really what I was looking for in a comedy. Some days I have my moments being on a network show when they're like, yeah, that's a little too racy. I'm like, oh God, are you kidding? Did you see the stuff we used to do? I came from cable. Like nothing is off the table, you know? So I wish we had more freedom sometimes, but I am incredibly, incredibly proud of this show. And I gotta tell you, we have a blast doing it. And all of the actors and the audience, like, I wish that for you. That's what you can wish for a fellow actor.
And Colin Hanks is awesome, just on a
Oh
side
my
note.
God. He sometimes he just looks at me and I start laughing. He's sent me a video. He texted me a video of just his face saying beard. He had a beard over a hiatus, and I just like he would come around the corner. I would just crack up. I don't know. He's just funny.
He's just funny, like he has
he's
that
just
thing.
Funny,
Yeah.
and I would just crack up, and he would send it like we ruin a lot of takes. A lot of takes.
Well, thank you so much.
So much for
are
having
amazing.
me.